Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Frank here, working on the Cub Cadet articulating 4x4 tractor. Got to work on the steering hydraulics today. So I got a package of fittings in the mail yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and start hooking some stuff up. This is auxiliary. Right now I don't plan to use it. So we'll cap that. In and out. All right. All right, my plan is to cut this off, move it down here and weld it to the side so I don't have this chunk sticking up here, reduce the profile of it. All right, I'm gonna let that cool so I don't mess up the seals in here. Actually, there's no seal in this end. All right, I'm gonna wind up drilling holes and pinning, putting a cotter pin or something in these shafts to keep them from shifting. All right, now, before I put my steering gear back in, I need to adapt this almost 3/4, not quite 3/4. What was it? 728? Let me see what it was. 0.723 diameter with flats milled on two sides and a hole through it, to this shaft which fits the splines on the steering wheel. So I need to mate these together. So my initial thought was piece of tubing, cut it short, put another piece in here, and I only need it to be about 3 or 4 inches long. And I'd like it, to be adjustable to some extent. So the problem is this is too big and wobbles on there. So I need to get a piece of 1 inch round stock, or maybe even a little bit larger, 1.25 inches if I have it, maybe. Or 1 inch would be okay, I think. And bore it out to fit this more closely, so I get a better fit, so I can go ahead and pin this together, or put a bolt through it, probably pin it. If it's a 1/4 inch hole, I'll use a roll pin, spiral pin, and then I'll cut this to the necessary length. Okay. And I'll probably, once I get it inside the piece of tubing, see, it's pretty close to the same diameter as this tubing, inside diameter of the tubing. A little bit of slack. I'd probably run a weld bead around here, so I could take it apart at this point and potentially adjust the length. So I need to go to the lathe and mill a sleeve adapter to go between these two, which are two different sizes. That's 0.725. This is 0.75, and it's 0.759, 0.758. So just a hair over 3/4. And some of that may be, rust on here or something. 0.757. So it is just a hair over 3/4. All right, let's see what we can do about that. All right, so I need to bore. This first bore is for the shank of the steering gear. I'm going to go with 11/16 drill bit, which 11/16 drill bit is 0.6875. So that's the closest drill bit I've got. The next size that would still be smaller would be 45/64. Don't have that one. So this will at least give us a big enough bore to put the boring bar in and bring it to the appropriate size. So we're drilling 1.25 inches deep. 1.25 is the length of the steering gear shaft. So that's our objective here. I'm using my new tailstock DRO for that purpose. All right, I need about 10 more thousandths, so we'll take 5. I need to bring it out far enough to part it off at 3.5 inches. Actually, I'm going to go take it over to the saw. Let's go do that. All right, I just cut it off on the saw. So we can face it. And bore it. That's really off. All right, so it's clearly a smaller diameter down here, but I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it where it is and just use some emery cloth on here to clean this up, because it's only going to stick out of here an inch and a half or an inch. So I'm going to go with a smaller diameter here. I'm going to say it's done. If I have to bring it back and tweak it a little bit, I can do that. I feel like that bit is dull. Well, it looks okay. Maybe not. I've got to go to my good set of Cleveland drills. That's how it's supposed to go. All right, so we got that fastened to the shaft. It feels pretty solid. I've decided to pin the shaft. I went back to the lathe and just took like 2/1000 off of the outside of this. So I'm going to decide to pin it. So I've got my holes here. Should be able to do that. It's a nice tight fit. Okay, steering wheel. Okay. All right, all we need now are hoses. right, so this is the item I alluded to last week that I thought might be interesting. I know, not much about this. It's not a sponsor or anything. I've had this for, I don't know, I've had it for a couple months. In anticipation of this project, I thought this might be helpful, a helpful item to have. We'll see if it is or not. It's pretty heavy. I'm going to say it's, pushing 100 pounds. Well, maybe not quite 100 pounds. It's 70 or 80 pounds. It's heavier than I want to pick up casually. Some of you guys younger than me might throw it up on the workbench without any problem. There was a time when I could probably do that without worrying about my back. Those days are long gone. Too many times I foolishly did stuff like that. So the FedEx guy was not happy about it, I can tell you that. And I got it up here on the hand truck, so to say it's a nice job on the packing, maybe. I was hoping it was going to be in some smaller pieces, but it looks like it's all one piece. All right, maybe one of you guys or some of you guys will have an idea what this is. tell you, it has something to do with wrong size. I can't believe I ordered these several months ago. Wrong size. All right, well, this is, so these are part of what you need to use this, or what this uses. I've had this for a couple months too. Haven't really done anything with it. May have been a mistake. Let's see. Try to find an end here. All right, here we go. All right, so this is, well, this is the right fitting for the hose, but it's the wrong end. This is JIC number 4, and I ordered number 6. Okay, so maybe you can figure out now between fittings and 5800 PSI hose what this is for. 34 kilograms net weight, 24 kilograms without dies. So 34 kilograms, it's like 75, 80 pounds. Oh, look at that, a light, and it's not plugged in. It must be a battery. And I'm going to guess that's a door for a battery. Quality first, customer first. How can two things be first? All right. And let me get some fittings, and I'll bring you back. I'll read the book. RTFM, as they say. And let me give you a little closer look at this. So, manual hose, crimping. Look at that, crimping machine. It's got dimensions, die set, millimeter sizes. All right, I don't know what these are. Figure that out. That has a, looks like a manual hydraulic pump. And it comes with a drawer full of little, I guess they're little dies that slide into the slots inside here for various size fittings. So I have to look at the manual and see what size needs what. Some kind of a dial gauge, a push button that turns a light on. Not sure what that's for. It's probably setting pressure here maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a relief valve. And a gauge. All right, I'll get some proper crimps, hose fittings, and we'll come back and see if we can crimp a connection. If I can't get to fittings, we'll just go ahead and demonstrate it and crimp this one. I do need to go get proper fittings, but I thought I would go ahead and just see if I get this thing to work. So the instructions in the book show for, if I understand it correctly, the outer diameter of the crimp fitting 3/4 of an inch, which is what I've got. It's also 19 millimeters. I measured it. Crimping range 16 to 19. So using the called mold number, this is the die number 16. So I've taken, there are packs of dies in here, 10, 12, 14. All right, so I put the number 16 dies and they slide into the frame here, which has got fingers which get smaller. So I think this is the right size. It's the best I can tell. We'll see if it works. It may not work, but I'm going to try it with this existing fitting. And it does look like it's getting smaller there. But to tell you the truth, I don't think it's going to get small enough. All right, so these all go back. All right, so I need a bigger die. And I think this is a size 2. That's a size 1. All right, so this says size 4. No, this is size 2. Yeah, and this bag is size 4, so that's the 16. The 14 is size 3. So I'm going to try the size 3 before I go to the size 2. All right, so this is size 3. Slightly larger die, which means it'll get a smaller diameter, which means it should crimp. There's a little dovetail on these fingers, these dies, fingers. It slides into a slot. Forgive my head. Well, that went in fine there. So it must be the particular die finger I had that was stuck. Had maybe a rough spot on it. Okay. Tighten the relief valve. It doesn't say which, side to put the crimp through, but I'm going to assume it's like this. If that die is, yeah, that's not moving. Okay. Let's see. There's a pressure gauge here. Oh, gee, I just pushed the rubber plug in there. I don't know about that now. All right, the pressure gauge is coming up scale. I think it's at 1,000 psi. But I don't think that's crimped anything yet. But 1,500. Now let's see. All right, it has crimped it. So you can see, let me show you the difference. Now, has it crimped it enough? Don't really know. But it does look like it has crimped it. It's kind of feels flush to the hose here. All right, I think that, I mean, now, for my use on this build, my hydraulic pressure is only 600 or 700 psi. So I'm going to say that this will be fine. We'll find out. If they leak, then I'll put them back in here and crimp them some more. That's about all I can do. All right, I'm going to go get some proper fittings. I'll be back. So if you ever wanted to see what the inside of the hose looks like, there you go. All right, so I got some proper fittings. Went to Napa. My local Napa store is pretty good, but I'll tell you, the fittings are not cheap there. All right, so this is a little different looking. It's a little shorter ferrule. Get that all the way on there. All right. Yeah, I think it maybe needs to go this way. Let's try it this way. All right, that looks reasonably well crimped. Really didn't come much up on the pressure gauge. But the die is tapered, so it gets smaller at the other end than at this end. All right. That looks reasonably well crimped. All right, folks, I'm going to end the video at this point. I've got to do some measurement, hose measurement, cut some hoses, crimp some fittings on. We'll come back next week, putting the hoses on, or I may already have them on, don't know. We'll run the engine, check out the hydraulic steering system. So that will let me know whether I need a second cylinder or not. There's an advantage of having a second cylinder, one on each side of the articulation point. You get more balanced movement of the articulation point of the tractor. You get more turning force on the joint because you got two cylinders acting on it. You get equal force in both directions because, you know, a cylinder has a larger diameter, a larger surface area on the piston side than it does on the rod side. So pushing one way, turning one way, if you only have one cylinder, turning one way would give you more turning force than turning the other way. If you put two cylinders on, then that equals out because each time you have a piston diameter and a rod side diameter each way. So it's an equal force. Now the drawback is your speed for turning is cut in half because you got to fill two cylinders with the hydraulic fluid. Now, and as I mentioned earlier, the flow on the auxiliary output from the hydrostatic transmission is, you know, a couple GPM. So depending on how quickly the actuation occurs with this single cylinder, it may work fine with two cylinders. We'll find out in the next episode or down the road as we continue working on this tractor. So that's coming up next time. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. If you have been subscribed, check and make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube is still unsubscribing people. I'm not sure why they do that, but I see big blips in the subscriptions, so just check. And if you enjoyed the content, a thumbs up would be appreciated on the video, and we'll see you next week.